Okay, people, still October 6, 2017. It's like 8 p.m. at night. I just went through a whole bunch of old videos of me being in the yard since 2012. Some of them are from 2012, and some of them are from 2014. What do you call it? I mean, obviously there's a lot more videos than what I've shown, but I've kind of like really expressed the fact that at one point when I first moved in, for the first 2 or 3 years, people, I was pulling out 50 bags of Morning Glory every year. That's not including the buttercup, the clover, the crabgrass, and any other kind of weed that comes into the yard for whatever reason and is left to multiply years and years and years before a new tenant moves in, such as myself. Andre, just give me a second. And I also brought to the attention of, in 2014, how whatever I had done out in the front had gotten ripped up and destroyed, completely destroyed, people, and I had to do it again. And not only did I have to do it again, but by 2015, Andre, please, the city jumped on board, acted like I had never done anything in this yard ever since I moved in, and kept me out there, basically, like I said, for a whole year, so that by the time I'd come in, I would be exhausted and couldn't do anything on Uncle John's paperwork. And I was just trying to maintain on keeping up with the bills and the rents and that type of thing. So, I'm not feeling that great at all. I'm feeling like really sick right now from just this whole situation. Seriously. But I'm going to pull myself up by my bootstraps, and I'm going outside tomorrow in the rain, people. Because my landlady called me today and said I have 1 week. There's that 1 week window again to do. I don't know what I'm supposed to do other than remove every single thing that you could possibly pick up from the back, as if I have no right to use the back. It's kind of like coming down to that, where I have absolutely no right to have anything in my driveway in the back, never mind anywhere else in my yard. It's starting to feel like that, people. And whatever I have done, Andre, please, is being destroyed like my front yard was destroyed. Okay, it's the same kind of feeling. Okay, it's the same kind of situation. Whether the city comes in and starts hauling my car out of here, because for some reason they seem to think they own my car, even though that guy across there with his 4 cameras and his cell phone and his looky-loo through the windows, right? You know, he can have an old beat-up broken boat that he never takes out because it's just for parts sitting in the back. He can have another boat sitting in the front, right? So that's 2 boats on that property, like albatrosses, right? And he doesn't get bothered, not at all. Because I guess he doesn't get bothered because he's spying on everybody and reporting them to MCFD, when in all actuality this place will go up for rent, and he'll probably rent the main floor and then take over the yard and say it's his yard and that he did all the work in the last 7 years, because people will quickly forget. And that's why I'm doing this video, is I'm doing a reminder that when I moved in, it was nothing but weeds, people. Weeds, sand, grit, mud, crud, algae. Because when Morning Glory dies, it turns into algae. And when you have bags and bags and bags and bags and bags full of Morning Glory, you're going to have puddles and puddles and puddles and puddles of algae. And it stinks. Not anymore, just in certain isolated areas, right? Because I don't have the time to go and pull every second day as it's in the growing season, because that stuff grows like 4 to 5 inches a night. And so I got the 1 week to do something. Again, I guess my landlady's daughter-in-law is coming over again tomorrow. She'll tell me I have done nothing, I'm sure, and that it's not good enough, I'm sure, right? Because ultimately, I just think that they just want more money for this house. They either want to sell it or they want to rent it for more money and have somebody else do house repairs so they don't have to pay for it. because I'm not doing anything wrong. I have not done anything wrong, people. I'm a sitting fucking duck. I'm sitting here with no money, no resources. I invested thousands, over $25,000 into the nonprofit from the time I started. And that's on the low ball. I never added in my internet services. I never added in gas. I never added in telephone. I never went off and got a cell phone so I could pretend I was being Mrs. Popular and all that shit, right? Just so I can go out and promote a universal school meal program that nobody wants, right? No, what I did is I wrote 50/50s and I tried to generate money for the community. I tried to help the poor people. I tried to get engaged with the families and the children. And then I fell into this place. Then I tried to take on the responsibility of this place, be a good tenant, be responsible, you know, not be afraid to take on the job in terms of the landscaping and, you know, try to bring in the gardens and the greenhouse and the pond. I took lemons and I made them into lemonade after they tore up the front the first time. Now my life is being torn up again because in a week from now the city's going to come in with the axe, quite possibly roll out of here with my freaking car that I've owned for 27 years, right? And anything else that they can get their hands on. Where they're going to get it from, I don't know, because I don't get this. I never get a list, people. I get a lot of ambiguous, well, I don't know, you know, you need to move that, and you should throw away that, and you should throw away that, and you need to throw away that. Then what is the point of living here if I can't use my yard? And Andre, please, and I'm expected to throw away things, whether they're buckets, swimming pools that I use for weeds, still to this day, or sand, gravel, to lay down the bricks that I was going to lay down the path over there, right? Wood that I need to do repairs with or use as borders, whether it's garden for borders or whether it's borders to put in the path.
I know, Bubs.
I got 1 week. So I'm going to go into that little pile behind my car. Because everything, like I said, is kind of being condensed down. Right? And I'm going to do it in the pouring rain for the next 5 days and come out healthy, people.
Mom, would you like 2 eggs?
No, I don't want anything. Who can eat when they feel like they're being, like, torn apart by vultures? Literally. Like, I am shaking. I have been shaking all day, people. And I'm not one to go around shaking. Yes, I get panic attacks. Yes, I get anxiety. Yes, I get depression, right? But I don't take pills and all that shit because I know, I seen my mom do it and it doesn't get you anywhere in life. So I'm trying to cope with this right now. That's what I said. You know, I get into a nervous breakdown mode and I start canning. You know, I start cooking or whatever, right? So I'm happy with what I've canned so far. How long it's going to stay where it is, you know, because that's all being ripped apart. I'm talking. I'm talking. That's all being ripped apart. Everything's being ripped apart like my front yard. My life is being ripped apart. Why? Why? Because I spent 7 years in a yard trying to make it nice while people just want to walk around and point out the flaws that haven't been done yet fast enough because I don't have the income to pay people to come in and do it for me. When in all reality, it was never really my responsibility in the first place. Landlords are supposed to take care of the yards, right? What you gonna do with a bunch of sand? Pave it over and make it a parking lot so that you can have 8 cars out in front. And then the city says, oh, well, that's okay. You can have 8 cars in the front, but you can't have a pond. You can't have a walkway. You can't have a garden. You can't have walnut trees growing in there. You can't have vegetables growing in there. You can't have sunflower seeds with beautiful flowers growing in there. You can't have anything in there. You need to bring it back to the state of just flat sand and a bunch of weeds. Well, the weeds grow everywhere else in the freaking yard. It's a long video, but it's been a long 7 years, people. It's been a long 7 years. And you know what? It hasn't gotten me anywhere. All it's done is create a bunch of jealous people causing trouble for me because they could never go off and do something like that for themselves, right? Obviously not my landlord. I'm not talking about those kind of people. I'm talking about these, you know, these thumb down trolls that live in their little apartments or one room, you know, rooming houses or wherever they're tucked away, because they're definitely tucked, what, in Shawnigan Lake with Uncle John in the dungeon? Really? Oh, sure, John's sister lives in a nice little house up in Shawnigan Lake, but what does she have buried in her dungeon, people? What does she have buried in her dungeon? Okay, people, still October 6th. You can see I'm in my some of my food storage here, people. Right? Just organizing it. Andre, please. No. Don't, no, you're not.
It's okay.
Andre, please. So I'm going to be putting away. Those are from last year, people. There was hardly any pears on the tree this year. You know, people are jealous, people. This is the raspberry jam that I made from this year.
Yeah,
you
like
can
raspberry
see.
jam.
Yeah. There's the
And
zucchini
this
relish.
is raspberry jam.
There's some still apple butter left over from last year. You can see there's tuna back there. No. Hold on a minute. Okay, people. So, like I said, now that the yard is pretty much done in terms of the hard stuff, breaking the ground, sifting through the sand and the gravel rocks, pulling out the weeds year after year after year, building in the sheds, building the greenhouse, putting in the walkways, the brick walkways, so that you cover up the sand and the weeds and the mud. Right? My landlords don't need me anymore, because the hard work is done. This is why tenants don't like to do anything for landlords. This is exactly why tenants don't like to do anything for landlords, because your landlord tells you one thing, and then you go off and you think you got something, and you do what you do. I gave up my life for this yard, people, just so that I could have food in a house in times of hardship, or just have food in the house. Real food. That's real jam, people. That's from real raspberries. That's real juice. Right? Tomatoes from the yard. Beans from the yard. Zucchini from the yard. Like, I am feeling so sick right now. You can't imagine how sick I am feeling because of the way I'm being treated for putting 7 years into a yard that everybody wants to pick apart just so they can kick me out and have somebody else move in and say, oh, what a nice yard you have. Okay, people, I don't know how a person can spend tens of thousands of hours in a yard for 7 years, spend thousands of dollars between materials and paying men to build greenhouses.
In this corner. Over here, I actually dug it up, sifted it. You can see I'm sifting. A lot of work. It's ridiculous. You can't rototill this yard. It would be impossible. You're just going to spread morning glory all over the place if you do. And even pulling it up the way I'm doing it, I don't know if it's going to work. And I'm saying to myself, why? What for? Why am I wasting my time? Look at this. All this has to be dug up. You know, and maybe come out here and, you know, not this part in here. You'd have to pick through here. There's little batches. You know, there's some grass there. Then I did this. I had to get in here and dig this up.
Do you see all
rocks.
all these weeds, people? Hold on a minute. Do you see this? Do you see the tarp? Because this whole area back here, the weeds would get 3 feet tall. It was like a jungle. So I'd come in, do what I could. It got to the point where it was just, I had to figure out something, because the raccoons would always go in there to the bathroom too, right? So I started to build in a garden bed. I was thinking about a greenhouse, maybe more on this side. First it was going to be a doghouse. But anyway, started building in a garden bed to control the weeds. Here, people, I dug up the ground. I shook it out. Do you see the swimming pool? That's why I had so many swimming pools, front, back, wherever, because I was going from spot to spot, day after day, pulling up weeds to get rid of the morning glory in the yard for the most part, on top of a severe buttercup infestation, and what do you call that? Clover and God knows these other things that just grow, right? And so the tarp is to kill off the weeds, people. Because I was weeding already. So I had to go from front to back to side. And that was one way to start controlling the weed problem. This was all weeds. This was all weeds. This grass I dug up from the field, people. I went to the field over there where I wanted to turn into a nature park. And I dug up patches of grass and I pushed it home in a wheelbarrow. I carried it to the back and I transplanted it to get rid of the weeds. That's not transplanted grass from this. This is transplanted grass from a fucking field. Because I had no money to go off and buy grass. As I'm panicking through the rest of the yard. I did that year after year after year after year, people. Okay, so I'm going to add these videos. This was the Fukushima Life on the Fly, number 19, X Speaks. It's still in April of 2012. Do you see? This is the side with the sand, people. This was what I was left with when I moved in. Whatever tenant was before me did not look after this yard. Not in the least.
And so, I'm going to take the advice of one gardener where, with these these broken down trees here, it was all destroyed over there. We gathered up a few branches, and what I'm going to do, here you go, can you see them? What I'm going to do is I'm going to try and make an arch, Do
you see the grass? That's not grass, people.
So the morning glory.
Does that look like grass to you? Where's the grass? Crabgrass.
It can grow and attach itself onto that because it likes to, grow and then crawl, right? Climb high. So that's my rabbit hutch. I had 2 rabbits. One got out and one got hit by a car. And then one day I went out and I came back and somebody had actually opened the door and took the rabbit. So there's, I don't know why they took the rabbit, but they did.
That is lemongrass. I put that there with the walkway to start covering up the weeds. Right, people? And the morning glory as I'm pulling them all out, and the sand, and again, all these little rocks was, as I was doing this, whatever, making that garden bed in the center there, which now has a walkway around it, I'd come across these rocks, put them in a different bucket, and then after a fact, I'd wash them, and then I'd come along and use them as an ornamental rock.
And this walkway, as you can see, and these little rocks.
Any rocks that you see in a bucket, salvaged. I pulled out of sand and washed them and got them ready for something else.
And they really smell like lemon. So I put those in there the first year I moved in, and I
yeah, for Joan Duncan,
salvaged these
so she could smell it and feel good about herself before she died.
Condos, and those rocks,
basically.
And then we
do you see that tarp?
This was the first year.
All weeds underneath there. Didn't matter if you dug them up. You dig them up and they come right back because the root system with buttercups, if they get so out of control, even if you pull them up, they're all going to come back up anyway, people. On that side, that's why I put that in there, because it was full of fucking weeds and I couldn't get rid of it. I even tried Roundup, and Roundup ended up coming back 10 times harder. The weeds came back 10 times harder.
Oh, these bricks.
So now I have raspberry in here and blueberry bushes.
One over there and one over here.
But I'm such a bad tenant,
Grass
right?
needs to be cut. There's a little bit more grass on this
I'm
side.
such
This
a
side's
bad
not
fucking
so bad.
tenant, right?
But with all the weeds everywhere, see, I've got some wood
Weeds.
here to make some fencing.
2012.
You know, some kind.
The weeds were
Something
giving
in the
me a
yard, I'm
nervous
not sure
breakdown
yet.
in 2012.
And
Do you see the weeds, people?
gathering up some.
Did you see them? My heart jumped.
See, I've got some wood here to make some fencing. You know, some kind.
Where's that
Something in
weed
the yard,
patch?
I'm not sure yet. And
There it is. Do you see that, people? The only way you can kill that shit off is if you cover it up and you leave it covered for months. And then you go in there and you dig it up. And then you try and maintain it after the fact. While the rest of the yard is growing out of control with weeds.
we're gathering up some sod in there. I know you can't see it right now, but it's
See?
there.
There's
right?
that grass.
And we're gonna
There's that grass
take
that
out the
came from
weeds.
the field. So I didn't have to bother my landlord about planting grass. I went off and I went into a field and I dug it up and I drug it home so I could transplant it into the back so that my children and my family could actually have a yard.
From that,
Can you believe this, people?
and try and replace the grass.
There's your grass, people, right there. Do you see the grass? Where's the grass? I don't see no fucking grass. Welcome to my yard. That was my yard. All through the side, all through the back, the back from one part, the whole thing, the whole full square footage, except for a little patch of grass here and a little patch of grass there. That one side of the house there with all the sand, that's basically what grew in it was sand. That's all you can grow. And a little patch of grass here and a patch of crab grass there. And then in the morning glory just goes through like it's a river. Do you know how hard that is to dig that shit up, people, and make it so that it doesn't grow back? Why do you think I laid down the brick freaking walkways? Why do you think I built the ponds? Why do you think I built garden beds and greenhouses and sheds around here? It's because of this crap, people.
Do we dig out this?
It was either that or move. There. Do you know what's underneath there? It's just what you looked at. That's what I did. I ended up covering it up. Eventually, I tried, like I said, I tried Roundup, everything. It didn't work. You could see what the fuck came back. So then I started just covering it up. Because I had dug it up, shook it out, didn't work. Sprayed Roundup, didn't work. Right? So eventually I said, to heck, I'm going to do it this way. And I went from spot to spot throughout the yard. Front, back, right, on the side. Killing off weeds, people. So that there would be a yard today. City never fucking not once ever harassed me when I was doing this. They didn't start harassing me until Uncle John went missing. Why? Is it the housing market? Or does it have something to do with Uncle John? Well, or maybe it's a little bit of both.
tarp. You know, this is what I'm paying good money for, right?
Yeah, I'm paying money to fucking tarp up fucking
There's some
dead
more
grass.
rocks. I haven't brought them in because last summer,
Because I'm in my mind.
nonprofit books for the federal government.
Yeah, working on a nonprofit one summer out of all those summers, right? Outside of that, I'm out there day after day, hour after hour, and these are ornamental rocks that are being used today.
Right? There's some bricks. I plan on making a little fire pit in the back there, so we'll make some kind of a stove with that and see how that
Oh yeah,
goes.
did you see those ornamental rocks there, people? Those little ones? Do you see? I washed those. Those I got from the field before the bulldozer came in and mixed everything up over there because they want to keep the homeless people out because they used to have a pond over there, right? But those, that all came from the sand, and I washed those as I was coming into contact with them and filling them up into buckets, and then I was reusing them for ornamental rocks. Because I'm landscaping in my mind, people, with a real crises in my hands in terms of this crap. What do you do with this crap? You pull it out, you throw, it into pool after swimming pool after swimming pool after swimming pool, right? 15, 25 bags later, composting bags later, and you're still pulling. What are you going to do with it, people?
Fuck, man.
In the back there, so we'll make some kind of a stove with that and see how that goes. This is the dirt and the rocks that I picked up not last year but the year before. So this is prime dirt in here. It's been sitting like this for, look at this, it's been beautiful. Oh, it smells good too. And this stuff has been sitting here for over a year.
See the morning glory roots, people? Do you see them? That's what was through my whole yard. Little patch of grass, but look what goes into. This was last year's, this was 2011's weed batch. I composted it. That's how I composted until I ended up bringing in more compost boxes. Now you know why I have so many compost boxes, people, because this is the crap I was dealing with, pool after pool after pool after pool. Not including 50 bags of morning glory that I was pulling out by the root and by its leaf system and giving that to the city as I was composting the other stuff, this crap.
Because I got it when I got the bricks. And last year I didn't do any yard work, and that's why it's still sitting here. Right? So I have to use it this year. So this year I'm using it.
Oh wait, maybe not. That one there was dirt that I brought in, but I had lots of pools that were done into.
Yeah, there's that. What's in this one? So look at this. Oh, this is perfect. I actually need this. And here's, just some empty weeds.
Kind of doing something here.
A little bit of dirt in there.
Can't you go to the bedroom? Again, notice this, people. Does that look like grass to you? Does that look like grass to you? Does that look like grass to you?
This year I'm going to have to do something. And again, here's this lemon plant that grows up really tall, right? This will go in the back for the kids.
Does any of that look like grass to you? Now multiply that through my whole freaking yard, front and back and on the sides. With morning glory growing from one end to the other end, 4 inches a night. At 50 bags a summer. Okay? Now we've got a nice little garden bed in here. We've got a compost box, a water drum, right? We've got the other compost box here, the one that we're and I'm like, I need it's the compost box. I take the dirt after it's done and I put it into the main garden bed, right?
Kids.
Now we have a pond there, people. I have a problem with my, what do you call it?
Cancer?
Yup, it's infested. It's infested with a virus. Why am I surprised? I'm not surprised. Okay.
Plan on fixing up the rabbit hutch.
All weeds, all weeds, went weeds all the way there. This was all weeds. This whole thing was sand and weeds and gravel rocks. That's all it was. This was the initial stages of the, this is where the pond is now. Now this is where the pond is,
down there,
right?
They're already
and the walkway.
The condos before they're even made.
This is where I got the dirt and the rocks and that kind of thing was down there. That's where I got my transplanted grass, people.
Which I should actually take
before the bulldozer came in and ripped everything up.
That's falling apart.
Right, we just seen that.
Make a new one for herself, right? So I don't know. I don't even want to look in my car. My daughter told me that the light went out and it started to mold. There is the X-Shop. All it did all winter long was blow around and create a lot of work. You
Yeah.
don't have to go in there and wash
Create
it.
a lot of work, people, because I had no proper storage. Anything I did have just leaked, got everything wet, so it would create washing, right? Would just pile up, and because I'm not going to throw it out, I'd wash it before I'd throw it out and try and restore it, because that's all I had, people. I mean, I came in with non-profit stuff, my own personal stuff, right? Didn't realize, didn't have no proper storage, and or whatever, and you know, just whatever, right? Life is what it is, and yeah. There's Joan's scooter. $10,000 was paid for that thing by the taxpayers.
Really, really stupid. But anyway, we'll just go up that way for a minute. There's Cat. So, I'm in denial. You can see it from here. Everything fell down in the wind. It all blew around. You know, this is my responsibility. I'm not supposed to use the porch. That's what they told me. I'm only allowed to use the porch in the summertime. So all this plastic crap that's supposed to keep the rain out doesn't mean anything. It shouldn't even be there. I don't even know why it's there to make you think that you can use your porch, right? Because tarping it and doing whatever I tried to do didn't work.
So there's the back. Now keep in mind, do you see the mud and the weeds? Little patch of grass with weeds in it, whatever. But we already know that I was going into the field and digging up grass that had just a few bits of weeds in it, and then wheelbarrowing it into my backyard to put grass where there was no grass. After I dug up the weeds, sifted through the dirt, put them into tarps or swimming pools to kill off the roots, to try and control the buttercup, the morning glory, the clover, and any other weed that was growing back there, because that's all it was, people. It was nothing but weeds.
And even paid somebody to get...
Right? Started to tackle the problem here. That was the only way to start getting rid of weeds, was to either cover it up and keep it covered, or start building around it, people, because if you took a rototiller and you tried to rototill it, you were just going to spread it around and make it worse. It had to come up. It had to come up. It had to be shaken out. It had to be killed off in terms of the weeds. Right? It had to, because that was the only way to get rid of it. All weeds, weeds. It was weeds. It was disgusting. I never worked so fucking hard in my whole fucking life.
And it still didn't work. So really, technically, what needs to be done is this plastic needs to be replaced permanently.
Yeah, well, it did get replaced, but it didn't get replaced properly, and then it blew off because it didn't have enough money to buy the proper materials in terms of the full length of, right? And then whatever got put up there, 1, 2, 3 sheets flew off because they don't make the same kind of product now. The plastic is even more flimsier, and it's not even worth buying, it seems, right? And yeah, it still leaks, people. It still leaks. But the X Club is the X Club / painting room / greenhouse, right? It served its purpose, told its story.
You know, with new plastic. And the seam there, again, needs to be caulked properly so that it doesn't leak on my stairs in the winter. But that's for another day.
Yeah, because there's no inside stairs, people. That's the problem. There's no inside stairs. So when the kids are going up and down the stairs on the outside, whatever's on those stairs in the winter and fall, they're tracking it in at the bottom of their feet. Even if I tell them to take off their freaking shoes when they come in, chances are they won't. Do you see how that's all laid out like that, people? That's because I'm trying to kill off weeds a batch at a time. Weeds. And don't forget, you got morning glory growing in here every night, 4 inches. So you got it growing here. You don't see it now because I pulled it all out, right? Because look, there's my big buckets as I'm weeding. Notice all these tarps. Did you notice how many tarps I have in my yard? You know how much money I spent just on tarps, just to try and control weeds?
The fly. So as you can see, I think I've been trying to be fairly productive. You know, I know it looks messy, but we're getting some headway.
Okay, let's go to today. Let's see what the video is for today. That was in 2012. I was feeling pretty optimistic. Now I'm
The
getting
landlady
evicted.
just called me, said the city came by again.
Let me
Is
start that
threatening-
again. Now, people, I'm getting evicted. This is October 6, 2017, the day that Fraser Health Authority is going to the courthouse to try and get Uncle John's lawsuit dismissed because they say that they did absolutely nothing wrong towards him and his family. Okay, because we are his family. We moved in as a family and we're still a family. So let's just go back and look at that. This is today. This is what it looks like 4 years and a bit, because it was 2012 that I just showed you, right? And now it's 2017, so 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Okay, 5 years and a bit, because that was in April, right? So 5 years and a bit later, this is what I've accomplished in terms of trying to control weeds, mud, morning glory, and raccoon shit.
Check.
That walkway was never there. Anything that you see buried into the ground in terms of a walkway, I did. And I did it only because of the weeds, the sand, the morning glory, the grit, and the mud. Otherwise, I would never have done it, people. I was trying to provide a quality environment for my children. That is quality in terms of very little mud now. I still get the runoff from that gutter, which will kind of create me a river and make it a little muddy. But outside of that, it's much more better than it was in 2012.
Me said this.
Do you see all this? This is all transplanted grass, and grass that I actually go out every year with a knife on my hands and knees and pick out anything that's trying to take root to overtake the grass so that the grass remains as grass. Considering I transplanted a lot of that grass from a field 5 years ago.
My landlady just called.
Do you see this piece of wood? All this here? This is wood for Andre's walnut art. This is actual black walnut branches and English walnut branches. That's why it's there, because it's a special kind of wood. I'm actually thinking I need to, I was slivering off the bark and whatnot, but of course I had other things to do, so that's another day. But that's what that is, right?
Called me, said the city came by again.
City came by again. That looks a whole lot different than a whole bunch of weeds, raccoon shit, and morning glory now, doesn't it? There was no functioning sheds. There was no greenhouse. There was no seedling room. There was no garden bed, 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 no garden bed. No raspberry bushes. Nothing. No ornamental anything. No walkways, nothing. It was mud, weed, morning glory, grit, and raccoon shit.
Threatening $8,400 and up.
Yeah. And let's talk about this shed that just finally got finished, which should have been finished in June or July or August, the latest, of 2015. But because Uncle John went mysteriously disappearing, right? None of that got done because I got left with the whole debt load of the house, including all the bills, right? Because it was easy for the Duncan clan to partner up with Fraser Health Authority and CIBC Bank to take Uncle John's assets, basically, as they trashed his family. So in the meantime, if you were to go to a Home Depot and price out one of their plastic sheds that they have out in their parking lot, you're looking at $1,500 plus tax for about the same size shed that I built with Jerry and with my daughter and her boyfriend helping near the tail end of it because the city just wanted us to hurry up and get on with the job. This is much more better than what you would get at Home Depot, and I'm not putting down Home Depot. I'm just saying for $1,000 and under, because it cost me about $1,000 in all between wages and paying Jerry and a couple, because it was done in 2-year batches. He did the main frame the first year, and then this last year, he finished it, and then of course now you can see the paint that was donated to me from the neighbors, I've already started to paint. But because I've got so many shingles left, I was going to put more shingles up in here. I'm not too sure what I'm going to do here. I do got wood around the yard, so at some point we'll probably just run that through and just make this whole one piece just shingles. That's what I was planning on doing, right? That's what I was planning on doing, people. As I want to take this paint and paint in the garage, but I had to make sure that there was food in the house for the winter time, because there's only a small window of opportunity when you're growing food to be able to preserve that food. So for $1,000,
right,
I got a really good solid shed, people. A really good solid shed. Right.
This
okay,
needs
hold
to
on.
Be moved.
But I guess the city doesn't see it like that, though, right? Because again, they're looking for somebody to come in with 10, 15, 50 grand or whatever the hell it is, and doing a mad dash with, a 10-man crew, right? To make it look nice for them, regardless of how you feel or what you've done. And this is the point of the video. This is regardless of what I've been doing after the last 7 years of my life, people. I have not sewed any costumes since 2010 because I've been in this yard. I have done absolutely nothing with the children because I have been, in terms of the non-profit, right? Let's just carry on here. I want to show you some more weeds. My computer doesn't work very well, so...
2 bedrooms up, 2 bedrooms down for $2,800 a month now.
Okay, do you see the compost box? Why do we have the compost box there? Because I'm still pulling out buckets full of weeds. I put in 3 buckets full of weeds just when I cut the grass, people. And because again, I get on my hands and knees and I will take a knife and I will get up into the grass in here because I value my grass, people. I value my grass, and I take a knife and I dig down and I try and pull out, the dandelions and those kind of roots just before they start to, and I take out the buttercup that spreads and the clovers that spread and anything else that's in there. I take out moss from time to time, and it all starts to pile up in here, right? And then of course sometimes it's coming in with dirt, so it makes compost, right? This next year I was thinking of putting potatoes in here. I was actually thinking of at some point in the next month or two, getting out there and just kind of pulling everything out and getting it ready to plant potatoes in there, because a potato got in there, and this last year I dug it up, and boy, it really produced really nice potatoes. So I'm kind of wanting to make that into a potato bed, but I guess it's not going to happen now because my landlady says she's kicking me out. As if I would ever want to go off and do this for anybody else again in my whole fucking life. Like, why? Why would I spend 7 years of my life not sow anything, not go out in the community and do nothing with the children because I'm in my yard trying to make it so that it's nice, first of all, like I said, for my family, second of all, for my landlords and for myself, and then along comes the city, it makes it 10 times harder. Do you see all this, people? Still a weed problem. This is that tall grass that grows and just gets out of control, and it's really gumpy it's not this kind of grass. It's more like, Andre? It's more like an ornamental grass, so you have to get in there and dig out the roots before they spread out too fast and overtake other things as well. But this is another little kind of a hot spot. This is where some of those bricks that my neighbor gave me, this is the path where I'm going to lay down some of these bricks and then cement them in so they don't shift, because come winter time or fall when it's raining a lot, this just turns into a mud bath. The whole path. Am I going to be able to get the whole path done? Probably not. But I wanted to kind of take it from here and go down at least to the end of the compost. That would be nice. That's what I was planning on doing. So this is what this is for. This is going to be border to start laying in these bricks. Right? But because I didn't get out there and do it fast enough, I'm being penalized because I'm being treated like I'm just some sort of nothing. I don't know I don't know how I'm being treated, people. I have no clue. I don't want to say like a homeless person or, that kind of thing, but yeah, I'm being treated like trash, like white trash. That's what I'm being treated like, white trash.
That's what it is, people. They're forcing me out so they can get $2,800 a month for this house.
Do you see the weeds, people? Again, I get on my hands and knees and I dig them out. And the buckets start to fill up pretty freaking fast. I told you I've got something like 9 or 11 compost boxes on this property just to compensate for this shit that was throughout the whole yard.
Right? Now that the yard is, now that you can plant food.
Remember, all weeds. It was so entwined in the root system that in 2012 and on, I had to cover up batches, whole batches, the full length, the full size of the tarp, in order just to kill off the root system, in order to be able to do something. And even then, I had to bring in the blueberry plants and use the black cover to cover it up. So my battery's going, hold on.
It grew nothing but weeds. This was all weeds. I have video. This was all sand and weeds. I have video. Right? I was going to harvest this for TV dinners. For the winter. Right? So anyway, I'm going to take the city to court.
I'm going to feed the cat, okay? Okay? I'm going to feed this.
This is the second time the city's getting me evicted. First time was at that shanty, that fourplex with that grow up. Now I'm going to go in here and I'm going to pull up the video where my front yard was ripped up after I had already laid down a walkway. Hold on a minute. Okay, so now we're going into 2013 here. I haven't found what I'm looking for.
I'm going to spend the day in my yard. Here's my little patch of grass in the front.
Again, transplanted.
As you can see, it looked like that.
It looked like that, people, which is not grass.
I've been picking at it for off and on for a month. Got rid of all those dandelions, but they're still popping up down there.
Do you see that? All weeds, people. I don't do too much about this.
Okay, I'm in a spot in life where...
It's this I want to show you.
Got rid of all those dandelions.
All this in here, people. All weeds. Do you see that?
But they're still popping up down
Do
there.
That? Do you see that, people? Weeds. How do you get rid of that, people, unless you dig it up and haul it out of there?
Right, hold on.
This is when Andre's Playhouse was in the front.
Where my grandson never gets to play in.
This was my grandson was still gone.
I have people coming by my house asking to buy this thing.
Did you notice? Look down there.
I'm in a spot in life where my grandson never gets to play.
Do you see, people? This is what I had done with those buckets that you've seen. With the rocks that I picked from the field.
Do
you see? Trying to cover up the weeds. The sand.
Coming by my house asking to buy this thing. I guess they know there's no children playing in it. Right? I guess they figure I don't need it, just for sale, right? Like my grandson. It's just for sale, right? But today is the day.
Oh, there you see, people? Did you see the walkway?
Morning glory.
Do you see the morning glory? Do you see the walkway? Where is it? There. This is the first time. This was all ripped up. Do you see the weeds, people? Do you see the weeds? Do you see the morning glory, people? Do you see the morning glory? Do you see it?
That I'm approaching.
Do you see the morning glory, people? Do you see it? Welcome to my yard.
morning glory in the front.
Do you see it, people? Do you see the morning glory? Welcome to my yard.
Where my landlady
Do you see it, people? Do you see the morning glory? Welcome to my yard.
says to me, well, this rental property,
Do you see the morning glory, people? This is what I had from front to back, side to side.
you know, it's just a little deceitful.
Do you see it, people? Do you see it, people? Now you know why I have a compost box where I do. Right? And the water drum and whatever else I've got in that corner. Okay? Do you see it, people?
And that's all your fault, Miss Chorney. Because you don't work hard enough in this yard.
This isn't 2013, people. Let's go see what it looks like right now. Okay, well, you're not going to see anything out here right now because it's dark, so I'm going to have to come back tomorrow. Okay, so that didn't work.
And
Do you
other
see it?
tenants in my other house, they do such a wonderful job.
They don't have a yard like me.
But I won't mention the fact that, what kind of spider is that? Where is it? I can see a spider in here.
Oh, morning glory, people.
But we won't mention that your yard was full of sand where you're standing. And we won't mention that it's infested with morning glory from front to back, left to right. And it uproots the ground as it grows 4 inches a night and spreads like wildfire. We won't mention that those tenants don't have to worry about that because their yard is not even a fraction of your yard. And we used to live there, so of course that yard was maintained. Well, this one is just a rental property and we don't really give a shit because at the end of the day it's all going to get bulldozed down and it's going to be the property that's going to make us the money. And our kids don't care because they're just waiting for us to die so that they can capitalize off.
Do you see that,
dollar
people?
investment in terms of
Do you see
equity
that,
of the
people?
land.
Do you see that morning glory?
Because when I ask for help with this morning glory, nobody on my landlord's side wants to touch it, including your kids. They don't want to help fix with the roof, nothing, because the landlords are old, right? They need their kids. But the kids, they're just waiting. What are they waiting for? Well, we know what they're waiting for. Look how lovely that sage plant is.
Hold on.
It's disgusting.
That's the other side, people.
Partly why I'm getting sick.
This is the other side.
Stress.
Do you see how high that thing is
Social
crawling?
workers under the Ministry of Children and Family Development.
This is when my grandson was gone.
I'm working for no reason. I'm working to lose my house.
I've been losing my house for a long time.
Rabbits this year. What was the point? Okay, so I'm right in the nest now. You know, it's one of those, if you don't like it, you can move moments. And with spiders running around,
Doesn't look like that
biting
now, people.
I just heard.
I'll show you
yesterday
tomorrow.
from somebody in the community how up in Cloverdale somebody died with spider bites because he went to the hospital like 2 times, and 2 times they sent him away, and then eventually he just died over it. I don't understand why this has to be my responsibility, you know, and then get criticized to say I'm not working hard enough, fast enough. I started at 11 o'clock this morning, and I'll probably go all day on this. And, so yeah, I'll be back. Okay, members and friends, that's what I got out so far. Just hold on a minute.
Okay, so I still haven't found what I'm looking for, but this is September of 2014. 2014, I spent more time in the back, working on the greenhouse, putting in the walkways because of the mud, the weeds, that kind of stuff.
It doesn't stop, I'm telling you.
You can see
So I'm working on this.
starting to lay down the
Some
bricks,
of these
right?
bricks I'm talking. Kids are crying for umbrellas. I'm not buying anymore because they keep losing them. And as I'm going through this junk,
Obviously, the shed got doors and stuff like that, right?
I found 3 of them that I had bought that were in a box that got threw out and it rained on. And
But what we're doing here is
third or fourth bucket.
starting to lay down
Filling up that.
the
Yeah, I don't know
walkway.
if you can see that. But you see that? Yeah, I don't know if you can
I don't
see
know.
that. But you see that clay?
Where is it?
That's kind of like this dirt here.
There it is.
Right there.
You can
It's
see.
already starting to go up like this. So,
Cover up the sand.
I don't know.
Dirt. It's not
can see I
not
have a
dirt.
big
It was
mess.
landfill. That's why nothing could really
Right.
grow on it.
Okay, don't
people.
walk on that no more. Just let it dry.
Right?
That's enough for today, though.
Mama,
What are you going to do with those, Andre?
I'll read bottom.
Right.
Them.
Yes.
So I didn't work much in the front because I was doing that kind of stuff, eh?
Radio.
Hold on. Okay, so this one was April 22nd, 2014. I don't know, I have a big gap in there, but anyway, this is
Right in here.
after they...
So that's going to be a challenge for me. Okay, members and friends, that's where our pond's going.
This
Right
was
in here.
after
So that's going to be a challenge for me.
my front yard was torn
Never
up,
put a pond in before.
after I worked on it
There.
since I moved in.
Kind of starting from scratch.
Because
then.
the plumber broke, supposedly,
Start.
people,
Oh, I love it.
the main line pipe. Whatever you had seen that I had done prior to April 22nd, 2014 got ripped up. Completely. You can see it was completely ripped up.
I don't know if you can see any of this. What to do, what to do.
I didn't even have my garden bed anymore. There's that plant. Part of the garden bed is already gone. All they left me was a little bit of the walkway. Just a little bit. Everything else, all this was gone. It's all gone. You can see it's all gone. All gone. They dug it all up. They mixed it all up. That's landfill. They mixed, right? With their backhoe. There was the walkway. It got piled up in there. You can see everything got piled up in there. So all that I had done was a waste of time, basically. I didn't do this area once. I did it twice, people. And I'm still working on it. And I'm almost done. And then I go on to talk. I don't know what I'm talking about. But you can see what they did. They were still working on it then. That's when they were getting into the pipe.
I don't know what they did there.
Right?
No.
They dug out a whole chunk. Everything I had done,
All my hard work, people.
yeah, all of it. Didn't matter.
Okay, members and friends.
And then what happened
I'm
was...
using my little...
And then what happened was, people, I guess this was before, before it was ripped up. This is the sand. Do you see the sand, people? This is what I was getting out of the ground as I was building in walkways to cover up the sand. Do you see the gravel rocks? Again, I'd separate the rocks from the sand, recycle the rocks for decoration, and then use the sand to lay down the bricks. Otherwise, it was just going to be a sand pit for cats to shit in and for weeds to grow in. That's all it was.
Ever since I moved in.
And I had buckets full and buckets full, people. I'm talking buckets. That's not a little bucket, okay? That's a garbage can.
There's another bucket.
Okay, those are like almost the equivalent size of a garbage can. And then it would rain.
They're going to take it from that pipe there.
This is before they were going to pull everything out. So let's go to the beginning and listen to this. This is before they came in with the backhoe.
Started spraying it down. He didn't like that, so he went back to his coop.
So what? Oh, this is in the
There's
back with
Mickey's
Mr.
gardener
Lace.
Mickey.
Okay? This is before they were going to come in.
Mickey,
All this I
where
laid
you
down.
are.
People,
Hold on a minute.
all this is all that brickwork laid down.
Okay, so this is what brings me out.
Okay, I'm in the front now. This is April 22nd, 2014. This is the stuff that I'd pull out the weeds, take out the morning glory roots or whatever, take out the gravel rocks, sift out the dirt and everything, just miscellaneous bits of roots or whatever, and then I would take this sand, bucket after bucket after bucket, and that's what I used to lay down the cement slabs to make walkways. Now keep in mind, people, I did this by myself. Okay? To correct the problem in the front in terms of the sand.
They are digging up my front yard, people.
They're digging up my front yard, people.
They're going to make this 10 times.
They're going to make this 10 times.
It's more fucking worse for me.
Yep. And do you see what happens when it rained? This is all sand, people. Sand, bucket of sand, bucket of sand, bucket of sand, bucket of sand. Okay, and then it would rain, and then this is what would happen. Right?
Sand got rained in. Full of sand got rained in. There's another bucket full of sand. This is what I've been dealing with ever since I moved in. There's another bucket.
And I get
Now they're
evicted.
gonna
That's
take
how
it
I
from
get
that.
repaid. This is
Right
how I
there.
get repaid, people.
And they're going to dig.
I get repaid by being treated like white trash. Serious. I don't know who's treating me like white trash, but somebody's treating me like white trash. You don't go through all this for a period of 7 years to be treated like white trash and then kicked out in the fucking winter time with no money, right? Nowhere to go. You can't afford to rent anything anymore, right? And if you do, what do you get? You get a yard full of morning glory, buttercups, and a whole bunch of other fucking weeds, right? And a bunch of sand and cat shit and raccoon shit. And broken pipes. And lies. As your landlord tells you, oh, don't worry, you know, we'll never raise the rent. Stay as long as you want. Be happy. Yeah, be happy my ass. You can see the walkway. Obviously, I had something covered there that I was bringing to the back. But this was all covered with the... You can see it, people. So those buckets of sand, I'd end up taking that sand after I cleaned it, took out the rocks, took out any roots or anything, morning glory, especially, because the last thing I wanted was morning glory growing underneath in here. So I would sift that sand through a sieve, a screen, and then I would use it to start doing this. This is the day or so before the next, I think the day before they came with the backhoe.
The way down.
Okay? You can see it, walkway, it went this way, it went around, it came back. It was all in here, very nice, in there. Right? Here was the garden bed, there's that plant. Remember though, this all got ripped up. As if it was nothing.
And they want me to move my grandson's playhouse.
Mama!
And
Mama!
all of this. Maybe some of this.
That all
They're
got
gonna dig
destroyed.
up my walkway.
And look at do you notice how the walkway really settled in nicely? I was so happy with this walkway.
Maybe some of this.
Let's see if I can catch
They're
it.
going to dig up my walkway.
Well, maybe not. But yeah, there you can see it right there. Do you see how the moss, everything just settled in so nice. Look at the moss, people. Right? It settled in so nice. Oh, it was so nice. It was so nice.
Way. And they're probably going to cut right down through the middle of that. So I drew myself a little map. This is probably all going to get dug up. Everything's nice and settled.
Mm-hmm. Nice and settled, people.
Right? I don't have a problem with sand. I don't have a problem with morning glory roots. They're going to probably dig up all of this. They're just going to come in with, looks like this little machine right up over here. Where did this guy come from? Is that what they're going to come into my yard with and start digging up fucking pipes? And I'm not supposed to get mad.
Okay, let's stop here. Do you see all those dandelions? I'd go out there with the knife on my hands and knees, start pulling them out, people. It's not nearly half of what was there. And then it was all this way too, right?
So, I figure...
Okay, let's just stop. Go back.
So...
Okay, so this is on the side of my house right now. This is actually a slippy slide that I haven't used yet with Andre, but I'd like to use it in the front maybe next year, right? It's with water, and it goes down, right? This doesn't belong here, but what I'm trying to show here is that all this in here was all walkway that had already settled because I had been working on it for a couple of years, right?
Figure.
You can see it, people. You can see it was all done. It was all done in here. Right, this is when Andre got back. Okay, there's Andre. This was in April of 2014, so he was with me by this time. Came back home. All this was destroyed.
They're going to be digging a long ass hole in here, all the way down, probably to the road.
Anyway.
That's where my mint used to be. We're taking a bowl of lemons and members and friends. Look at my yard. Look at my yard. This is my yard, man.
So I'm just being trashed again for a second time, people. That's what's happening
here. Yard. This is my yard.
So they moved everything there. Put everything there. All the heavy bricks, everything, right? So let's go back to that picture. And let's see what was there.
Look at my yard.
Sorry.
This is my yard.
Okay. You can see not much in here. Sorry, wandering eye. You can see I started to plant a little bit of raspberries, and because, you know, again, this was all weeds, but this is all stuff that they took from that side and they moved it over into here. Right? It looks like I already had tarp laid down, at least some part of it, because again, I was trying to control this problem. I'll show you tomorrow what I did to control that problem.
Yard. There's my yard. My pond. Oh yeah, but we get to put the fish pond in. There's fish pond. So we're taking a bowl of lemons and we're making lemonade. Okay, members and friends. This is my yard now. There's the culprit pipe down there. Oh, I'm handling this pretty good, I have to say. That's where my mint used to be.
Wait, was that a car?
All this for being a responsible, caring tenant.
We moved everything
Seriously.
from over here, and it looks like the pipe is going this way.
Okay.
Like, what the hell?
Responsible, caring tenants don't go out of their way and spend 7 years in a yard and do the things that I've done and had to face the things that I've had to face in terms of the sand and the grit and the morning glory and the raccoon shit and everything else that goes on in this yard.
Now they're gonna
To be treated like white trash.
My rabbit hutch apart.
Because I'm a renter on low income, basically. I'm not a property owner. And because I'm not a property owner, I have no rights. So therefore, the city can come in and just do what it wants and get me evicted while they do it. Basically. City never complained about any of this. They didn't show up, people, until after Uncle John went missing.
They can't destroy my rabbit hutch. Oh my God.
Destroy this. Da. Da.
And my compost box. It's like my whole yard. Everything that I've done in the last 4 years is out the window.
And they took my chicken, too.
Mr. Lace on the stairs.
See the pathway, people? I had to do that in order to control the mud, the grit,
What is this?
the weeds, all of it.
Mr. Lace
Anyway.
is the coolest bird. Aren't you?
Okay, so let's feature Mr. Lace here for a moment, people. I really do miss him. Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah, we're going to end it on Mr. Lace.
and people, and I had chickens.
Mr. Lace is going to make me cry here in a minute.
Mr. Lace, you just got to be hanging out with everybody. Huh? You're not even trying to go anywhere. See, he lived in this little spot right here for about 6 weeks, so I'm thinking that's probably what it is. He just liked being in the kitchen with us.
There's Uncle John, eh?
He's been hanging out
Can
here
you hear
for the
Uncle
last couple
John,
of
people?
hours. I gotta start handling him more though. Make him a little harness.
But Uncle John is just our imagination. Uncle John never existed, right?
He's making everybody smile.
Just a
It's hilarious. He's getting a
fabrication.
girlfriend. Our landlord, he's coming with a hen or two. He said he's maybe 2 girlfriends. Yeah. So the next couple of days, Mr. Lace gets a girlfriend. Mr. Lace, my beautiful bird. You're my beautiful bird, aren't you? Huh? Yeah. Handsome. He's a handsome bird. Yeah.
And every time he goes like this.
You're gonna fall off of there, Mr. Lace. That's a little slippery for you. I need to get you a pole.
And look at the
I'll
greenhouse.
set you up a pole.
Did you notice the greenhouse, people? It's not done. There was no hen house, aka seedling room. The greenhouse was still in its initial frame. Didn't even have its windows up, people. This was in, what, 2014?
No.
Right? There's my patch of grass that I transplanted, people. There's my ornamental rocks. There's a garden bed, right? Obviously the shed. But the point is, do you see the greenhouse? Wasn't built very much then. There was no seedling room.
He likes to hang up here with us, I think, because he lived in the kitchen here. So he likes to kind of be close to us.
Do you see the swimming pool, people? Still pulling out weeds. All back up in here because it still was growing. It still does, but not so bad because I've got a little garden bed in here now. Right. But I have to do a compost repair, so.
But he's getting a girlfriend.
Or Mrs. Cookie.
Mr. Lace eating some cat food.
Mrs. Best.
Right, Mr. Lace, eating cat food.
Mrs. Waste doesn't eat cat food.
Mr.
Mr. Waste doesn't eat cat food. Wait, what's that digger
So
doing?
this is what's happening to me again, people. This is what's happening to me again.
I don't know what they did there. Something's sticking up.
This is no different. What they're doing now to me, I'm getting evicted and all this other crap for whatever reason. This is no different. Like I said, once the yard got pretty much done, they don't need me out there anymore. The hard work is done. The main stuff is
Okay,
done.
members and friends.
Right?
That's where our pond.
Not only did I have to do it once,
That's gonna be.
but I did it twice. And now that I've
never
almost
put a pond in
done,
before.
I'm getting tossed out.
Oh, there.
Because the
Kinda
city,
starting from scratch again.
I don't know what they want,
Have to start. Oh, love it.
but I'll never do it again, people. I'll never do that again.
I don't know if you can see
I don't have it in
this.
me anymore. I'm too sick now. Doing all that made me sick.
What to do?
That was a
what
lot of dirt
do.
to be in for 7 fucking years and not come out sick with it. Never mind the stress.
To do.